Have you ever looked up at the night sky, spotted that faint red dot, and wondered, are we truly alone? For decades, Mars has been the ultimate prize in our quest for extraterrestrial life. We've sent rovers, orbiters, and landers, spending billions of dollars to scan its barren, rusty surface. But what if we've already found something? What if the evidence has been right under our noses, and someone, somewhere, is deliberately keeping it a secret? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most tantalizing conspiracy theories of our time. Did the United States, through NASA, discover evidence of life on Mars, and then systematically hide it from the public? This isn't just about little green men. We're talking about microbial fossils, strange geological formations, and unexplainable atmospheric data that some researchers claim points to a living, breathing Mars, either now or in its distant past. The story begins back in 1976 with the Viking landers. This was humanity's first real attempt to conduct biological experiments on Martian soil. The mission had a specific experiment called the Labeled Release, or LR experiment, designed by engineer Gilbert Levin. The idea was simple. Take a sample of Martian soil, add a nutrient soup, and see if anything eats it, releasing radioactive carbon gas. And guess what? It worked. The instrument detected a spike in gas, a result that, on Earth, would have been a definitive sign of microbial metabolism. Gilbert Levin was ecstatic. He believed he had discovered life on Mars. But his celebration was short-lived. Another instrument on the Viking lander, a gas chromatograph mass spectrometer, failed to find any organic molecules in the soil. The scientific consensus at the time was clear. You can't have life without organic molecules. So, the positive result from Levin's experiment was dismissed as a weird chemical reaction, something non-biological mimicking life. For over 40 years, Levin has fought this conclusion, publishing papers and arguing that NASA misinterpreted its own data. He maintains to this day that we found life in 1976. Was he a lone voice of reason, or a scientist who just couldn't let go of a false positive? Fast forward to the 1990s and the era of Mars rovers. With every new mission Sojourner, Spirit, Opportunity, Curiosity. And now Perseverance, our cameras on Mars have gotten better and better. And with those high-resolution images comes a flood of anomalies flagged by eagle-eyed observers online. People have claimed to see everything from animal skulls and fossilized bones to carved statues and even a woman waiting by a rock. Now, let's be clear. The vast majority of these are classic examples of pareidolia. That's the psychological phenomenon where our brains see familiar patterns, like faces in random shapes. We do it all the time with clouds. Given the billions of rocks on Mars, it's statistically inevitable that some will look like something we recognize. NASA's official explanation is always pareidolia, and for the most part, it's a perfectly reasonable explanation. But are all of them so easily dismissed? Some formations are genuinely puzzling. Take the face on Mars, in the Cydonia region, photographed by Viking 1. The initial low-resolution image looked uncannily like a giant, humanoid face staring up into space. It became a pop culture phenomenon, the poster child for ancient Martian civilizations. NASA La Terre reimaged the area with higher-resolution cameras, showing it to be a natural mesa, its features carved by eons of wind and erosion. Case closed, right? Well, for some, the new images only deepened the mystery. They argued that NASA intentionally used poor lighting or processed the images to obscure the face's artificial-looking features. They point to other nearby formations, like the pyramids, as evidence of a larger complex. Is it a case of wishful thinking, or a sophisticated, multi-decade cover-up? Then there's the mystery of methane. On Earth, the vast majority of methane in the atmosphere is produced by living organisms, from microbes to cows. In 2004, the European Space Agency's Mars Express orbiter detected plumes of methane in the Martian atmosphere. This was a bombshell. The methane appeared in specific locations and then vanished, suggesting it was being actively produced and then quickly broken down by sunlight. NASA's Curiosity rover later confirmed these findings, detecting spikes of methane on the surface. This is where it gets interesting. What's creating this methane? The two leading theories are either geological activity reactions between water and rock, underground, or biological activity from microbes, what are known as methane. NASA has been very cautious, emphasizing the geological possibility. But critics ask, why the caution? Why isn't the potential for life the headline? They suggest that NASA is deliberately downplaying the biological hypothesis to slowly acclimate the public to the idea of life on Mars, rather than dropping a world-changing revelation all at once. Consider the potential impact. Proof of even microbial life on Mars would be the single greatest discovery in human history. It would rewrite our textbooks, reshape our religions, and fundamentally alter our place in the cosmos. Would governments be prepared for that kind of societal shock? Some theorists argue they wouldn't. A cover-up, they claim, would be a matter of national, and even global, security. It would be an attempt to maintain control and prevent panic or chaos. Let's look at the evidence for a cover-up itself. Whistleblowers and former employees have occasionally come forward with extraordinary claims. One famous case is a woman who claimed to be a former NASA employee, using the pseudonym Jackie. She called into a radio show, claiming that in 1979, while monitoring telemetry from the Viking lander, she and her colleagues saw two human figures in spacesuits walking towards the rover on the live feed. Before she could process what she was seeing, the video feed was cut, and her superiors told her to forget about it. It's a wild story, and with no evidence to back it up, it's easily dismissed as a hoax. But it feeds into the larger narrative that frontline workers see things they aren't supposed to, and a Men in Black style operation cleans up the information. There's also the curious case of the color of the Martian sky. For years, NASA images showed Mars with a pinkish, butterscotch-colored sky. But amateur astronomers and imaging specialists argued that based on the physics of light scattering, the sky should look more blue, especially at sunrise and sunset, similar to Earth. They accused NASA of intentionally red filtering the images to make Mars look more alien and inhospitable. Eventually, the rover sent back stunning images of blue Martian sunsets, proving the critics right, in a way. NASA explained the earlier color inaccuracies as a result of calibration issues. But for conspiracy theorists, it was another example of NASA controlling the narrative, making Mars seem less Earth-like than it really is. So, where does that leave us? On one hand, we have a series of tantalizing clues. A positive life detection experiment in the 70s, strange rock formations, and mysterious plumes of methane gas. On the other hand, we have plausible scientific explanations for all of them. Unusual chemistry, the psychological trick of pareidolia, and geological processes. The truth, these extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And right now, the evidence for a massive, multi-decade cover-up by thousands of scientists and engineers is thin. It's far more likely that NASA is simply being what it's supposed to be. Cautious. Science is a slow, methodical process. Announcing the discovery of alien life is a claim you can only make once, and you have to be 100% certain. Anything less would destroy their credibility. The burden of proof is immense. But the question remains a powerful one. It taps into our deep-seated distrust of authority and our profound hope that we are not alone. Perhaps Gilbert Levin was right all along. Perhaps there are microbial myth-eaters thriving beneath the Martian soil. And perhaps, just perhaps, one of the rovers has already photographed an undeniable fossil or artifact, and that image is now sitting in a classified file on a computer somewhere in a government facility. We may never know. For sure. The hidden evidence might simply be evidence that we do yet have the tools or the knowledge to fully understand. The line between a geological anomaly and a biological signature on a distant world is incredibly fine. But the search continues. With the Perseverance rover now catching samples for a future return mission to Earth, we may be on the verge of finally getting our answer. And when we do, it will change the world. The only question is, will we be told the truth? What do you think? Is NASA hiding the truth? Or are they just being careful scientists? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. Thanks for journeying with us to the Red Planet. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Hidden US for more explorations into the world's greatest mysteries. We'll see you in the next one.